You want an insane IELTS score like 8 or 9? Forget everything about acing this test. Most people waste their time on useless strategies. But the IELTS elite, they focus on the right things. Listen to me closely. Life for the top 1% of IELTS test takers is better than it has ever been. But for the other 99% of IELTS test takers, it's more depressing than it is ever been. And in this video, I'm gonna share with you 5 traits of the top 1% IELTS test takers. Let's say band 8 or 9 students have a question prompts telling them to describe a bar chart showing the sales of different cars. There is one thing that top 1% of IELTS test takers avoid when writing a report. But if you don't have this trait, you can't score high. And that trait is avoiding writing about every single detail in your reports. Instead, there are certain things that helps them to get 8 or 9 in IELTS writing. They focus on the most important trends and key features. But how do you decide which points to include and which ones to leave out? The common advice many people give is focusing on the highest and lowest points, overall increases, and many more. But I can't guarantee that you can apply this strategy for every single graph. Rather, there is one strategy that I use that helps me, and that strategy is taking time to really understand the graph. Every single graph is drastically different, and the key features might not be the key features of another graph. If I had to tell 2 or 3 most important features of the graph to my friend, which ones would they be? Those 2 or 3 features has to describe the overall chart without my friend looking at that chart. If you don't have the second trait that I'm gonna tell you, your essay will be ruined. As a result, you will not be able to get a high score in IELTS writing. So this trait the top 1% of IELTS test takers use is avoiding under or overusing cohesive devices. But how do you ensure that you're not under or overusing cohesive devices? There is one strategy that I haven't seen a lot of people talking about when it comes to cohesive devices. And that strategy is avoiding cohesive devices in every single sentence. My honest advice for people like you is to use transitions smoothly throughout your essay. There is one thing that IELTS writers never do, and this one thing can make a huge difference in your IELTS writing score. Let me illustrate this in an example. In your exam, if you have a chart describing the population size of 3 cities over 10 years, you have to accurately report the data without guessing. But how do you ensure that you're not guessing those numbers and you're accurately describing the data? There is one strategy that you can apply to improve the skill. And that skill is adding words like approximately, around, or between X and Y, from X to Y. These words ensure that you're not misrepresenting the data. My advice to you is to stick to the data given. The top 1% spend a lot of time doing this thing before even they start to write. And this habit is planning. But how do you ensure that you're planning in a right way? There is actually a strategy that top 1% use to effectively plan their essay. Let's see this in an example here. In order to plan your essay effectively, you have to follow this 4-step framework that I'm gonna show you. The first step is to read the prompts carefully. And the second step you have to follow is identifying keywords. And the focus of the question. And the third step you have to follow is writing your key points. And the last but not least step you have to take is organizing your points in a logical order. What if I told you that writing your essay is just the beginning? The top 1% of IELTS test takers do this one thing that will ensure that they will get a high score in IELTS writing. But I haven't seen a lot of people talking about this, which is taking time to review your essay and make improvements after finishing writing. I've seen a lot of students complain that their IELTS score is not improving. I know how frustrating it is, but there are actually easy ways you can use to fix this problem. And I explained them in this video. A quick hint, there are 4 reasons why it's happening and there are 4 solutions I suggested you.